passionate about art since I was a little kid. Ever since I was about this tall and my hands worked enough where I was able to hold something, I had a pencil and I was drawing. And then when I had gotten about this tall, I had gotten into it in school and I was still drawing. And I was kind of one of those reclusive kids where I would prefer to be inside drawing rather than really outside playing with other kids. And once I got into high school, I started doing it more seriously, and it got me into my undergrad with a free ride. And from there, I knew that I had really gotten into art. It had taken me so far, so it was important for me to kind of continue that. So back to when I was about this big, I used to draw fish. I wanted to draw fish. I would get the Florida Sportsman magazines, and I would look through them because I used to like fishing too. And I would try and draw these fish perfectly. So I knew what a snook was, and I wanted to draw a perfect snook. And it took me a long time to really kind of get it to that point. And I would like to draw snakes and alligators and dinosaurs and all kinds of animals. And going through my undergrad, learning how to draw, I started drawing other things, started figure drawing. But it's interesting how I've come really around full circle back to that starting point. I'm really interested in Florida wildlife now. So I thought it was an interesting thing that my entire experiences brought me right back to the beginning. Honestly, it was probably getting my MFA. It was a lot of work. I did a lot of different series of work while studying to get my master's, and having my final show up in the museum and knowing that everything was there and everything had been done to kind of get me to that point. It was almost like a moment of completion for me, this lifelong journey that I've had, in the sense that I was now academically finished, I guess, in terms of schooling, now that I can continue on my own. So I was really proud of that moment. I hope that's a tough question in the sense that there's a lot to say. I hope they find something about themselves in it. I hope that I'm not overpowering with what it is that I'm trying to say. I hope to let people in. And I hope they can see something about humanity and nature and the areas where those two come together. One of the biggest challenges is figuring myself out. As an artist, you have to look inward a lot. There's no guideline as to how you figure yourself out and what it is that you want to say with your work. Nobody can tell you what it is that your work should be about. So that was probably one of the biggest challenges early on, is to figure out who it was that I wanted to be as an artist and what it was that I wanted to say. Usually I like to keep myself on a schedule. If I'm not on a schedule, I lose track of what it is that I'm doing. So the idea of a structured time frame is important to me. This current work that I'm working on now involves me getting to the printmaking studio early in the morning, preparing the studio, preparing the paper, getting everything ready, filling the water, the water tray for paper with water, kind of prepping the whole studio. And then it's about a good 8-hour day before I finish one of the prints. So I try and keep myself on a regular working schedule so that I don't lose track of my time frame. So any regular 9-to-5 kind of day, you would imagine it to be. So to explain, I'm a teacher at a high school. I teach the visual arts, and I love that job because I'm able to pass on what it is that I know. And I feel like that is an essential role for an artist to play for a while, to be able to pass on what you know to another generation. And my job as an artist, I think, will never end. It is important that I continue looking within myself and the world around me to look for questions, things to question, and things to make work about. A lot of of people complain sometimes about, a lot of teachers complain about being a teacher. And I actually kind of like it. I've worked other jobs prior to this one where I didn't nearly have as many days off. Like I have the summers, I have other holidays, and I also have time to get home early enough. And it really helps me to kind of be able to put that amount of time, whether it's writing, making presentations, or even making work, right, to continue what it is that I do. So I really enjoy it. I do. Stay involved with the community. Be humble. Find people that you know and that you trust to look at your work and talk about your work. Your work shouldn't happen inside of an echo chamber. It should have other eyes on it. It should be talked about. It should be written about. Finish your projects. I'm a teacher, and I have to kind of get the children to move along and continue what they started, because I can see the potential in things, but if you don't finish them, you will never realize the full potential of what it was that you're trying to do. I do. I have a few different new projects underway that are utilizing the same imagery that I've been using in the last couple of years, but approaching it in different ways. I'm looking to involve technology into my work, and I've also picked up a camera and I started filming. So I'm looking at a few different types of projects now, for sure.